186 kilometers off Scotland's Shetland Islands stands Shell's Brent Alpha platform. After almost half a century, this giant structure is being dismantled. It's an epic engineering challenge, 10 years in the planning, safely lifting almost 30,000 tons from the North Sea, one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Brent Alpha. It's the third of 4 Brent field oil and gas platforms being removed by Shell. Built during the 1970s energy crisis, Alpha's structure is unique among the Brent platforms. Its sister platforms, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, each sit on concrete legs buried deep in the seabed. But Alpha sits on a giant steel frame, presenting its decommissioning team with both a challenge and an opportunity. For Brent Bravo and Brent Delta, they were lifted topside. They were brought ashore and recycled. The Alpha structure is a little different. It sits on a steel structure called a base that allows us to not only lift the topside and bring it ashore for recycling, but also that steel structure. The team plans to cut Alpha's legs in 2 places. First, just above sea level, allowing its topside to be lifted, then 85 meters below the waves to allow the removal of the upper section of its jacket. Bravo and Delta sit on 3 very large legs. We had the opportunity of going inside the legs and cutting from the inside. With Alpha, it's a smaller platform which sits on 6 narrower legs. We're not able to cut it from the inside, so we had to figure out a way of how we were going to cut the legs. To get to the Brent Alpha footing and cut it, you have to use rope access techniques. You set up and rappel down into the North Sea. That's the boring part, and then the return is the worst part. Even on a calm day, there are 1.5-meter waves. It's never calm out there, so you have to be really brave to rappel down into the moving sea. Rope access is a specialized, technically challenging skill that allows us to safely access some very difficult-to-reach places. You're at the bottom of the rig, about 9 or 10 meters down, doing hot work, hanging 5 meters above the North Sea. It's about 5 degrees. So if someone falls overboard, we need to get to them within minutes and get them out safely. We have an emergency response and rescue vessel on standby at all times. If someone falls overboard, they can pull them out in less than 4 minutes. It's not just the chill of the North Sea posing a risk to the decommissioning team. When a big storm comes through, there are very large waves, up to 50 feet. So if we cut the legs straight, then if a wave hits the platform, we could have some catastrophic outcomes. Simple horizontal cuts don't provide enough resistance against the force of storm waves. We have to develop another way of cutting the legs so that it can be lifted without it moving in the horizontal direction. We've made what's called a castellated cut. These castellations ensure that the topsides cannot slip off the legs. Cutting interlocking notches and slots increases resistance, preventing the topsides from sliding while allowing it to be lifted vertically. It's an historic moment in the life of Alpha. With cutting complete, the final personnel leave the platform. The challenge now is to lift the platform using the largest construction vessel on the planet. At almost 400 meters long, Pioneering Spirit is a giant. Designed to retrieve decommissioned platforms, she's capable of lifting 48,000 tons. But Brent Alpha presents a unique engineering problem. With Bravo and Delta, we lifted the topsides by lifting underneath the deck. Alpha is different because we are cutting the legs much nearer to the sea level, and we're using the legs to lift the whole topsides. To lift the 17,000-ton platform, Pioneering Spirit is equipped with a giant set of clamps designed to clasp Alpha's legs at newly installed lifting points. You can see the topsides lift system with the gray horseshoes inside the red lifting levers, which will extend, grip onto the legs of the Brent Alpha platform and lift. The most challenging part of the lift will be connecting all the horseshoes with the platform. That's an operation which has not been done before. And then, obviously, the lift itself will be the moment of truth. As the pioneering spirit comes in around Brent Alpha, if you can imagine, with the swell going on in the North Sea, it's just a small margin of error, a couple of centimeters, to make sure that we're coming in and slotting into the lifting points. With the clamps in place, the team are ready to lift. The technology on display from Allseas was just incredible. It was awesome to see such a heavy lift executed with such control. Successfully aboard Pioneering Spirit, Alpha's topside is transported back to the UK, placed on a giant barge, and towed into dock to be recycled. Now, attention turns to the team's final challenge, cutting and lifting the upper section of its giant steel jacket. Attempting it requires another record-breaking ship. The Sleipnir is the largest crane vessel in the world. Her 114-meter-long cranes hold the record for the heaviest single jacket removal, a staggering 8,100 metric tons. You can see two 10,000-ton cranes, which we'll use to lift the jacket. Alpha's jacket weighs in at around 10,000 tons, meaning with a successful lift, Sleipnir will beat her own record. But before the lifting, they need to cut. It's not just the 6 legs that they have to cut. There are a large number of supporting bracings which keep the structure strong, and there are conductors, and there are risers as well. So there are, in total, 43 subsea cuts to be done. It's a really exciting part of the project because they're going to use the world's largest diamond wire cutter. Basically, they will position it around the legs, and the diamond wire will slice through the leg. In place, 85 meters underwater, the cutter loops a thin steel wire, over 7 meters long, around each segment, encrusted with industrial diamonds, one of the toughest synthetic substances known. The cutter sets to work slicing, moving down, block 75 meters. The team monitors the delicate procedure with underwater, remotely operated vehicles. Opening clamps. But with 4 cuts remaining, they must call a halt. They have a hold point because it is a point of no return. A little more. They have what's called a green cut and a red cut. So, the green cuts mean that if you cut through, then the jacket still has structural integrity. It will still sit there by itself. The red cuts are essentially the point of no return. So, once you've undertaken the red cuts, you must lift. They need to make sure that all the equipment, the people, everyone is absolutely in the right place and ready to press the button. They had the no-go meeting, and the decision was all systems are go and they're ready to lift. The final 4 red cuts have now been completed. The jacket is now completely severed. They're in a position that the 2 cranes will now line up. They will get ready to lift the jacket clear of the water. As Sleipnir begins the historic lift, all eyes are on its 550-ton hooks. They can speed up those cranes to 2 meters a minute. Submerged for 44 years, Alpha's rusted jacket inches into the sunlight. 80 meters is a staggeringly high structure. So, to watch that come out of the sea, and it only took about 2 hours to do it, was incredible. This is really, really big. It's very exciting to see just over 10,000 tons lifted cleanly out of the water, safely held aloft by Sleipnir's cranes. Alpha's upper jacket makes its final journey sailing from the Brent field to Norway to be recycled.